Every single day, I get a call from one of my coaching clients saying, Mike, what should I do about this? And very, very commonly, the answer I give them is, why don't you just ask? So in this video, I want to talk to you about the mindset around not being afraid to ask what you might think is a stupid question. Hey everybody, I'm Mike Claudio, owner of WinRate Consulting and host of the Big Stud Sales Podcast. You might notice my hat over my shoulder, or maybe this sweet shirt. They're for sale. If you're interested, check the link below. I'll get you access and get it over to you. But today I want to talk about that don't be afraid to ask the stupid question, i.e., I just promoted my stuff. Some might be afraid of doing that, but I'm just simply saying, hey, you want a win fast, win often t-shirt? I talk about it all the time. You want one of my sweet new hats? I have a Shopify account. I just asked the question. There's no downside. You're not gonna reach through YouTube and slap me in the side of the head because I asked you to buy my products or my swag or my apparel, whatever it might be. And so many people in business, specifically business owners, get so afraid of making a mistake that you stop trying, right? The only goals you don't make are the ones that you don't shoot at, right? You've heard all of it. You know, the only way to hit a home run is to swing the bat. You can't even get a hit if you don't get in the batter's box, right? Like I can do this probably all day. And I'm sure you've heard hundreds of different sayings that are like this, but you still have that little voice in your head that stops you from feeling like you would be successful. So one of the biggest tactics, mindsets, activities that I teach people on is kind of the pro, con, do's, don'ts analysis. Basically, if I do this, what might happen? If I don't do this, what might happen? And I will tell you, 99% of the time, the worst case scenario is incredibly unlikely, and the best case scenario is pretty likely to happen. Look, if you run that report or that analysis and say like, man, this worst case scenario is pretty likely. Like if you jump out of an airplane without a parachute, it's very likely you're gonna hit the ground. But that's not always the case, very rarely the case in business. But I'll tell you, specifically when dealing with interpersonal situations, subs, referral partners, clients, employees, CPAs, whatever it is, whoever it is, interpersonal relationships, the answer is always, why don't you just ask? Like I was dealing with a client the other day talking about when is the right time to ask for referrals. It's always an okay time to ask for referrals. Like he was in the middle of a project with a client and like it was going really well. Look, if you have a happy client, why not just ask? What's the downside in asking? May it be the perfect time? No, but is it a terrible time? Very unlikely. But I'll tell you, that little voice in your head that stops you from asking those questions is the biggest factor in why you are not farther along in business. I personally am a sales guy, prospecting, closing the deal, asking for the sale, finding referral partners. Those are all parts of the day-to-day job. But I'll tell you, I have won significantly more business by just asking simple questions. Don't complicate it. Don't make it hard to understand. Don't make it difficult to get yes or no answers. A simple question for prospecting that I've utilized significantly well is, would you benefit from a relationship with a business coach? Or insert whatever it is that you do. If that person says yes, great, now you have somebody to talk to. If they say no, move on. Don't overcomplicate it for yourself. Don't tell this giant story about your background and how great you are and all this other stuff. That's when you start talking yourself out of things. The other part of this, when it comes to asking the questions, until you get used to doing it, it's like a muscle. If you haven't done it much, it's gonna feel uncomfortable. It's gonna be uncertain. There's gonna be fears and anxieties and frustrations around doing whatever it is that activity is. I challenge you to use that as a trigger to take action. The best way to get better at something is to do it. The best way to overcome fear is to face it. The best way to become an expert is to become comfortable. So the more you do things, I mean, obviously I work out, anybody knows me knows I work out. Everything initially is uncomfortable. I'm starting to do jujitsu recently. Doing that is uncomfortable for the first, I don't know, 60 days. It's still pretty uncomfortable. Like I still get my butt kicked, but in general, I'm more comfortable now than I would have been if I would have not done it. I could have come with 100 reasons not to start doing jujitsu, but I'm happier now. I'm in better shape now because I went through it. But also what it teaches yourself is self-confidence. I believe self-confidence is the biggest kryptonite to a business owner's world because you have so many influences working against you. Clients, employees, subs, all the same people I talked about already. It's your job to dig into those things and ask the questions That's the only way you create change. If you make assumptions without all the information, you fail. If you try to make decisions without information, you fail. If you don't have information in general, there's no way you can reach your potential. The best way to get information is to ask the question. So, next time you feel hesitant to ask the question, I challenge you to just dive in, ask the question. Worst case scenario, you don't get an answer. That's not that bad of a scenario. You're not gonna fail in business. Your bank account's not gonna empty out. The person's not gonna hit you in the face by simply asking a question. So go out this week, today, tomorrow, the next day, sometime in the next 7 days. I guarantee there's somebody right now that you've been hesitant to ask for something. Go do it this week. You might surprise yourself, because ultimately, the only way to win fast and win often is to go get that information, is to ask the tough questions, is to get out of your comfort zone. Again, I'm Mike Claudio, owner of WinRate Consulting, and I hope you win fast and win often this week.